Do we believe that it's recording this time?
Alexandra,
I'm meditating. Yep.
welcome to your own show again.
I don't know if I want to be here after the last time. I was so happy with the last one. I'm still salty about it.
I'm, I'm traumatized.
Like, Josh, don't
um,
message me. Don't say it.
I
Don't say it. And then you said it. You
I didn't say it. I didn't
said it
say it.
without saying it.
You
You
said don't say it. I didn't say it.
Well,
If you're
welcome
just
to
tuning
your
in,
show.
welcome
Oh,
to our show.
our show. Yeah.
Our show, Alexandra,
Mhm.
our show. And for those who are tuning in, should we give a bit of an update?
Yeah, I think so. Because the people are going to be like, what's wrong with her?
What's wrong with us? I'm gonna take some of it as well. Um, we just recorded a fantastic chat. Fantastic chat. All things welcome to our show,
Yeah.
but we didn't record it.
It was recording in the corner. I'm gonna message Zoom. I'm gonna write a letter. I'm not happy about it.
Like, you know what I just think about? I was like, it's like all of our previous conversations, except this time we intended to record it.
Yep.
It just didn't.
Just didn't. Ah. I'll get through it. I just need a bit of time. I finished my tea and now I don't have a tea and I feel like the tea got me through the last one and now I have nothing in my hand.
would you like me to pause and you can go get a tea and come back?
No, no, I need
Are you
it
sure?
spaced out. I can't just do tea and then another tea and then I need
You
it
can't
spaced
you
out.
can't back up the teas.
Look, I used to be able to, but because now I only allow myself to have two teas a day, I
Why?
need to
Why is this?
because I was too obsessed with tea. I was
Can
too
you tell
obsessed.
can you can you tell me about this?
It all started at a young age where my lovely Polish grandmother introduced me to tea when I was like 6 years old. So I don't know why she thought tea would make me sleepy, but this was like caffeinated tea, by the way.
Uh-huh.
English breakfast twinings to be exact.
Uh-huh.
And
A
she would
classic,
put
by
some
the way.
a
A
classic, a
classic. Yep.
classic.
Uh-huh.
So she would put a little bit of honey in it. She'd brew it for the perfect amount of time, a dash of milk to make it a nice, beautiful caramel color. And I would slurp that shit down like it was going extinct. I was obsessed and I demanded teas constantly. So I feel like I would have been a very interesting child to deal with, but I love tea and it just and as I got older, it became more accessible. I could reach the kettle, for instance. I
Mm-hmm.
learned how to make it myself. She taught me the secret recipe. So I was able to recreate it whenever I wanted. That's dangerous. So I started having up to five of those teas a day. And, this is when
Wow.
I'm going to school, right? So this was spaced between 3 and like 8 p.m. I would have 5 cups of tea. Not the
Like
best.
back to back, hour on hour.
Yes. Yeah, it just kept going. Yeah.
Wow.
I loved my tea. So as I got older and I was like, oh, there's no school anymore, I can
Mm-hmm.
have it in the mornings. Oh, a morning cup of tea is like life changing. So I still have it in the morning. And I did progress to, okay, I only have time for 3 cups of tea. I became a busy woman. So one in the morning, one after lunch, and then one after maybe a little afternoon snack. Actually, no, I was also having one after dinner. That's where I had my family talk to me and say, you need to stop doing this because you pee constantly throughout the night. I was like, I understand. I understand. So it was during COVID where I decided I'm going to make a list of challenges for myself, and
Uh-huh.
cutting down to 2 cups of tea was one of those challenges for 30 days. And since then, I've stuck to it. I only allow myself on a day off. I'm allowed to have 3 cups of tea. Or if I know the next day is a day off, I'm allowed to have one at night. But I've limited it. and I've also branched out to herbal teas, which saves me money on the amount of honey consumption.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if honey is like, I know everyone says honey's healthy, and it is, but I don't think the amount of honey I'm consuming is healthy.
I think that's why you've had to choose the career that you're in.
No, that I think I
There was
it's from tea. That's
there
what
was no other
motivates me. I'm
option.
like, no. Otherwise, I would be a beekeeper at this point, so I could source my own honey. Like,
Uh-huh. Is it is it an experience for you, or is it like the taste of it? Like what is it about the tea that, is it a throwback to the time when grandma used to make it for you? Like what's the connection?
at the beginning, it was just pure taste. I was like, give
Yeah.
me more of this. It was a drug, and the only drug I've ever had and loved, and the only one I'll ever need is tea. So I think it was purely just taste to begin with, and then as I got older, it became okay, tea was more of a form of connection. So all my grandma's friends would come over, we'd all
Mm-hmm.
have cups of tea together. That's when we were interacting. They're all speaking in Polish. I had no idea what was going on, but it was a great time for me because I got to eat all the cakes, the Polish cakes that they brought over and the ones my grandma
Oh,
made. So
fantastic.
tea tea became the perfect accompaniment. What am I saying?
You're a
What
fancy bitch now. You turn
is that?
25.
Is
Accompaniment
that
is the word.
is that a word? Is that a word?
Yes,
No
that's the word.
shit.
We're going with it. We're going with it.
Oh my God, that's word of the week. We should do word of the week. I can't say it again. Anyway, remember
Accompaniment.
that. It became the perfect, I'm going to say side piece, side piece to a cake. And
Yeah.
then, so whenever there was tea, there was cake, which I loved my sweets as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was a great time. And then now it's also, I think it helps with my performance because it makes me
Okay.
happy. It's also a memory of what my grandma gave to me, which I believe is the greatest gift. Um, this beautiful creation that I now have multiple times a day, and the connection that I'll always have with her is this tea. So, yeah, my mum is actually a trader at the moment because she's like, no, herbal teas are better. I know that they're better for you. I don't care. I want this. I want
Let
my
me have my
Twinings
advice,
tea.
mum. Let me have my advice,
Exactly.
woman.
So there's only sometimes she'll have one with me. And this is
Uh-huh.
I am away most of the year. I'm like, you can't have one tea with your daughter when she comes back. So I guilt her all the time until she has a tea with me. Um, but yeah, I feel like this whole podcast is gonna be on tea now. It's my love. It is my one true love.
Could go anywhere. Could go anywhere. This this podcast after last time. Have you thought about ever trying to get like a tea sponsorship through your connections?
Don't get me started. The amount
I
of
want to get you started. I
times
want to get you started.
I have personally emailed and slid into the DMs of T2, Twinings, and Majura, and I have shared my passionate story for that. So I've also made PowerPoint presentations to educate others on tea. So this is how far it goes. And I shared these passionate stories to these brands because I was like, you know what, Twinings is a very big brand. They're in the UK. Maybe they don't want to work with an Aussie. So I need some backups. So I went more local with Madura and T2.
Mm-hmm.
T2, I appreciate their English breakfast. So if they don't have a good English breakfast, I'm not here for it.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on Dilmah. I could trash that tea all day. That's the devil's tea to me. And it happens to be in all hotels, which is ridiculous, I might add. But yeah, I bring my Twinings with me everywhere. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's the go-to. I have personally emailed them, shared my beautiful story and connection to tea. Crickets,
Nothing.
nothing. Twinings
Nothing.
will occasionally message back with a like. I'm like, where's the response? Where's the human connection here? You see how much I love you. I would do anything for you and nothing. So yeah, it's tough out there.
You know what? I think we try and make something happen. We gotta get your voice heard
This is not
through
the first
this.
time we've tried. I have
I
mentioned
know
my love for Twinings
you
on many
have.
a podcast
You
and it's
have.
not gone anywhere.
we got to find like a local Twinings rep. There's a rep here somewhere that's gonna have to hear this voice. Okay, you are someone of stature. Okay, you are someone with a presence, and you are in the community. Okay, you can help this grow. You can help
I
this
can
grow.
help. I don't think Twinings is like the official tea of the royal family. I don't think they need my help, but
Well, I mean, what
sure.
would happen if Dilmah came to you and were like, "Hey,
No, no chance. No way. No.
I'm a woman of standards. That's what you are.
Yeah,
You're a
I
woman of
have my
standards."
standards.
Oh,
Oh,
look,
jeez.
I'm sorry you aren't allowed to have, but will not indulge in another tea with me now. Um, for the sake of brevity, right? Let's just cut to the chase. Alex, let's
Okay.
cut to the chase.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Well, for the second time today,
But first time for our
we
listeners.
first time for our listeners. Lucky you guys.
Thank
You're
you.
getting a very agitated version of me.
This is fantastic. It was a really happy job
Eh,
here, Alex, in the last one.
oh, I know I was so pure, and now I'm mad.
Now you're you. This is just showing the you, the agitation. Okay. The
Agitation.
underlying, the subtle
Uh,
agitation that occurs throughout your daily existence, right? Please proceed.
everyone's gonna think I'm an angry little troll. I'm a happy, lovely butterfly. So what we're doing is we're finally sharing the stories that we've wanted to share for years now. I think since we've known each other, we've always had these chats that they were epic. And we've even had other people comment and say, you guys need to share this stuff at different times,
Mm,
but it's been consistent. And then 2 weeks ago, we decided, let's just lock in a date and just do it.
yeah.
And here we are. So we have no plan for this. We're just seeing where it goes. And I think it's great. The last one
It
was so great.
was pure. It was
It
so
was
pure.
pure. It was so pure. But now I don't know where this one will go. So good luck.
Well, I was thinking
Yeah.
after the last one, and I was reflecting in the moments between waiting for the recording to come out and complete and utter devastation when it didn't come out. I was like, we've got such a history, we've got such a history, and but those people who aren't really in and around us, like our close
Mm,
circles, wouldn't know what the history has been. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And so, I'd like to hear from your perspective what the history has been, the how we came to be, um,
Hmm.
initially, and then obviously how things have developed, right, to this point
Yeah.
right now. And then I'll give my version.
Oh, okay. That's actually cool because I don't think I've expressed my version many times. I don't think I've really heard your version.
You've
So
never
this is gonna be
asked me.
fun for
It's
me.
always about
I have
Alex.
yeah, it is always about me. That's to be fair. Oh gosh.
So let's
Everyone's gonna
go
think I'm
there. Let's
such a
go there.
bad person. Okay. So where it began was one of my friends had told me about you. So I was back in Adelaide looking for someone to train with. And I had recently been dropped from the Matildas. So this little 17-year-old Alex being like, I need to push myself and get into the best shape possible. I don't know how to do that. I need to find someone to help me do that. So I sent you a really dodgy Facebook message saying, Hi, Josh, I'm Alex. I want to get really fit. Can you help me? And you just replied back, What do you mean by that? I'm like, oh no. So I tried to explain a little bit more, and you're like, yeah, like come come into my office, I guess. The space, your gym,
Hmm.
right? So he gave me a date and I rock up. There is nothing in this place. It's like an empty warehouse. And I'm just meeting this random dude next to a super seedy motel in Adelaide in a warehouse. At least it's during the day. And the first thing he does, apart from, lovely personality, which you've always had, but you told me to crawl on my back. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean? You're like, crawl on your back. I was like, how is this relevant? Should I not be running up hills right now? Like, what's going on? Um, and yeah, that started my journey of learning how to train properly. It's like, oh yeah, this is how you do it.
Mhm,
So that's the initial bit of how we met, I would say.
mhm,
And then from that point onwards, I mean, I was working with you, like pretty much in contact with you every day.
mhm.
Like we had a plan in place. I was like hitting ridiculous PBs in the gym, getting super strong and fit, like playing really well on the field as well. Everything was falling into place. Like my mum was like, "You have legs now." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I do." So other people started noticing like the change in my game as well. Like they were like,
Mhm,
"Oh, who is this dude?" And I was like, "Oh, some random guy next to a motel. Go see him." But I think it was, I did end up getting back into the Matildas, and that was kind of like, oh, we thought that was, the whole point of us
mhm,
meeting and everything, just to get to that point. But like, I think the friendship that we had formed and just the general banter. I mean, the amount of times I would just stay after the session and hang out with you and go to
mhm,
cafes and talk about life. And I think it was like I was very drawn to you at that age because I'd never met anyone like you that had started your own business, had very different ways of communicating and working than I had met in my time as a footballer at that point. Um, I mean, you made training fun, you made it very engaging, and just the person you were, I was intrigued. So it was like, I felt like I was always learning off of you in a weird way.
mhm,
And that kind of continued, even though wherever I was in the world, I then ended up, moving around to a couple different places. But we've always stayed in contact, and it then moved away from, okay, you're training or writing me programs. It was like we're hanging out as friends and we're helping each other
mhm.
through some life stuff. So I think that's more so where it's at now. I mean, I see you as one of my best friends, but also still as a mentor because I've seen, you told me your goals when I first met you, and you've like exceeded them, which is epic. Like, and I've seen how you've done it as well. Like, I've been there on the journey with you as like a bystander and been like, that's epic. Like, someone said they were going to do this, did that, and then did even more. And it's like, I want to be around those people. So, that's why I guess I still hang out with you sometimes, and we've ended up on a podcast together.
Well, thank you. That's quite the story. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And mine's very similar actually. It's nothing like completely whack except the whole part about being near a seedy motel. Like to me, I had just got my gym space. Okay, my second gym space. But no, obviously it was like I'd heard about you through the soccer circles and the football circles, and when I got your message, I was kind of like, huh? What do you mean? What do you mean? And so obviously I did a little bit of background, and I had seen where you'd come from and what your goals were. We caught up. It wasn't just come in and calling you back and that's it. That's where we started. It was, um, throughout conversation, you really intrigued me with your dedication and your drive. Mine was I had not met someone like you at your age with the same level of conviction for what they wanted to get to. Now, you didn't know how you're going to get there, and you didn't know what that might, you knew it would involve hard work, but you didn't know what that might involve, and then being so willing to just be you in sessions and be so willing to be trusting of the process of some bloke you met next to a motel, right? It's like I respected that, and I was kind of like, there's more here um than just like training. You know what I mean? There's more here than just like exercise. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot that goes on in your mind, and you were and still are a very different kind of cat. So it's great. Like I respect that and I love that. And then yeah, obviously as things progress, we were training 4 to 5 times a week, and we're talking most days. with pre-game, post-game catch-ups and discussions and whatnot, and then how we'd adjust training. And I think for me, it's the beauty of what can come through, the exercise and fitness and coaching and whatnot, is the relationships and the bonds that you get. Now, at that time, I was training probably 50 people, and of those people at that time, there's probably 2 or 3 that are still around that I'm in close contact with, and you are probably number one of all those. So it's interesting the bonds that can develop. And so that's kind of where my interest was and intrigue was. And, the more you, like, I learned so much over you, I would imagine the same as you learned over me. You know what I mean? So, yeah, the more you went and did things, and I was like, that's awesome. Surrounding yourself with the people that needed to help you get there, and the more you would then express yourself vulnerability wise, what things have gone wrong, what things are shitty. Also allowed me to do that as well, in a different way, shape, and form, different context. So that was actually pretty cool. One thing you said in our last recording, non-recording, in the chat that's gone into the air, which I think is really pertinent, and I loved it, and I think we could have it as the name of the show.
Ooh.
If you want, I'll just drop it to you now.
Yep.
Best of the mess.
Oh, hell yeah. Done.
You like?
Done.
You said it and I was like, yes, sick. That's
Yeah.
it. Because I didn't know that's what it is. We're all living lives, messy, trying to make the best of it.
Yep.
So I think it's quite fantastic. And quite lovely. So that's what I was thinking. How you think about that? What are your thoughts?
As in, like, the name of our podcast. Like, we've just come up with the name of the podcast.
We just come up with the name of the podcast.
That's sick. I'm so down for that. Yes. Yes. That's actually a good podcast name. I was like, I hope it's not something lame that we come up with. That's actually cool. So, best of the mess. Let's go.
Let's do it. This is sick. Oh, fantastic. Now, speaking of best of the mess, you just turned 25.
Mess. Yeah, that's a mess.
And what really interested me is I want you to just recap, just go over again,
Yep.
the conversations that you've been having with people since you've turned 25.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling Josh and, our little pre-episode that will never air because it doesn't exist anymore.
That's our warm up. I'm gonna call that our warm up episode.
Yeah.
So warm up.
The warm up
episode. We're in the main game.
All right, we're in the game now. Yeah, I've weirdly been just so talkative with strangers, which is, I mean, partly like I do tend to connect with people in general, when we're in a conversation, but it's normally around football, surrounded by football stuff, not just in a cab or on a plane or places where you can't escape. So yeah, weirdly started asking, various taxi drivers or, mainly taxi drivers, what life advice they have for me now that I'm 25. And I've been getting some pretty cool responses, to be fair. Like, people are down to chat. I had one lady named Nikki who we've become friends from that chat. Like, I think she was driving me for like 40 minutes. We're talking the whole time. We even spoke about a podcast together, which we'll have to get her on this podcast. I feel bad that I've gone and done a podcast without her. But yeah, she was sharing like her story, like her life story. I mean, she moved over from India without any of her family. She was just like, yeah, I just wanted to. Like, I was like, oh, this place looks cool. I'm just going to go do it. And went and did that. Loved driving. Got into, started driving taxis for like 15 years, I think it was. Now drives for a private driving company in a really boss ass car and absolutely loves it. And I just loved how much she loved what she was doing. Like, she spoke with so much passion, and it just made the trip enjoyable. So that's why we wanted to chat even further. And yeah, I said, this was, I think, yeah, as I'm turning 25, I was like, what life advice do you have for me? And she was like so down to give me advice, which is great. But I mean, a lot of the main ones were like, make sure that you respect your family. That was the biggest one. You don't get You don't get other family members. You get other friends, but family is that's something that's unique to you. So make sure you nurture those relationships. And another one was, if people aren't accepting of what you're doing with your life, cut them out straight away. Don't
Wow.
try and explain things. Don't try and bring them along for the journey. You don't need to explain yourself. You do things for you. And like she embodied that. I mean, she just left. I mean, still goes back to India and sees her family, has a good relationship with them, but she's doing her own thing. And, I feel like I'm very much, went on my own journey and started doing my own thing
Mm-hmm.
as well. Which is really cool. But it was interesting, with the main message of make sure, you surround yourself with people that are going in the same direction. And I thought that was cool. I mean, it's something that you obviously like to think about and you hear about every now and then, but it stuck with me a little bit more so coming from good old Nikki driving me to the airport. So
Mm-hmm. How
and
I got questions, but you keep going. Yeah, and I'll go on more life advice.
well, I mean
What have you got?
this one wasn't life advice. This was just um interaction on a plane, literally,
Mm-hmm.
like the other day when I was going to Canberra, like right before I sat down, like I was just about to touch the seat. And I'm here, I'm planning to just read my book or watch my show. It's an hour flight, like in and out easy. And this guy is sitting next to me and he sparks up a conversation straight away. And I'm just I'm down for conversation. So I just matched his energy and then we ended up chatting for the whole flight. It ended with a hug at the airport goodbye.
Wow. Yeah.
It's yeah, and yeah, he's planning on moving to Melbourne. And I think there's potential to have made a new friend, which is kind of rare when you're older as well. Just make
Uh-huh.
random friends. But
Yep.
I liked his vibe and it was cool. And it's like I don't know, it made me realize as well, like if you're open to these interactions, I mean, some of the best interactions I've had and the most memorable ones are literally with strangers because it's out of the norm. You're doing something that like you talk to most of the time you talk to the same people from week to week and you have very similar conversations. It was really cool learning about someone new and someone that was completely not in my realm either.
Mm.
And has these, completely different ambitions, and it just gets you out of your own head and you see perspective. You're like, yep, that's right. There is another life out there. It's not just the football world, which is very condensed at times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think that chat just, it was actually really nice. And hopefully the friendship continues. But yeah, shout out to Ben. So
That's fantastic. My question before was like, how do you go about you know, for you, I imagine you're fairly recognizable when you go out and um and I'm sure Nikki would have known and whatnot, and Ben may or may not have known who you are and whatnot. But my interest is how do you engage and continue to engage in conversations with a stranger for that period of time, and get into the maybe not deeper things, you know what I mean, but like
yeah.
definite discussion with a stranger, just in case, like what is your process for doing that if there is one, or how do you go about doing it?
It's actually interesting. I feel like I've learned from observing you when you're meeting new clients, one,
Oh wow.
and also one of my best friends, Ivy Lewick,
Hmm.
watching her around other people and strangers. It's the energy you put into it. So this guy, as soon as he started the conversation, he had a certain energy. And I was like, that reminds me of Josh and Ivy. Like, I want to dive into that. And you pretty much feed off of energy in a conversation. But I think also because I've been interviewed so many times, I'm genuinely interested to know about other people. So I have all the interview
Hmm.
questions all
Yeah.
set up. And like I tend to ask like really forward questions. Like and it's kind of an icebreaker because no one's expecting it. But like it gets the conversation going in a certain way. And you learn a lot about from people's responses. So I don't know. I think I learned 100% from watching you with other people because every time a new client came in for the first time and I'm just there doing my squats or on the bike in the background. Um, the energy you brought into it, you instantly made the other person feel comfortable. And I think I've learnt to do
Wow.
that as well around others where,
Hmm.
if I'm meeting a fan, for instance, if I'm very serious, like
Yeah.
most of the time, when I'm a fan of a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Like if I met one of my fans, I would have been like scared shitless. Like if I was like meeting someone famous, I'm like, I don't know what to say to you. I'm too scared. And then I would be
Mm.
regretting it later. But if that person is like so talkative, really open, has a genuine interest and wants to connect, you open up straight away. And you see that
Hmm.
light kind of switch in people. So I see that switch with a lot of fans where they feel really comfortable to engage once you're chatting. And it's like, you know, we're people at the end of the day. We're connecting. Like this is you're
Hmm.
coming and watching me do, what I love, but it also happens to be my job, which is kind of a unique thing because I don't then go watch them do their job. Kind of be creepy unless they're openly doing it. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's from watching other people do it and realizing like, wow, you can have these like really cool connections from it. And like awesome things can come from that. So, for instance, I don't know, this guy could end up being one of my friends. Who
Hmm.
knows? But that like opens
Yeah.
up a different world of meeting other people from there that do something completely different than I do. Um, there was one instance when like I was quite young and Ivy managed to coerce her way up onto a rooftop tennis court and we started playing. Like I was like, what the hell? Like we were literally just going for a walk and she was like, let's go to the roof of this building. I'm like, what? Who are you? And we ended up just going in. We found our way. We just spoke absolute shit to get up there. And then we asked this guy who was up there for a private tennis lesson and he gave it to us. So I don't know.
Wow.
It's like opportunities that come from those connections are what really get me excited. So I think, yeah, if the energy's right, I'm gonna dive deep into that.
Wow, like I was not expecting that. So thank you. I appreciate that. I was completely blindsided. Um, it's really fascinating because there's a lot in that. Like you're actually watching and learning. You're not just a part
Mm.
of, say, being on the bike or being in the gym. You know what I mean? Or watching Ivy walk around. You're actually
Yeah.
absorbing what's happening, and then you're absorbing and recognizing what the response is, which is really really cool. And you have such a like a beautiful fan base and a great connection with them. You see that through any of the media of you out there, which I've always thought like that's fantastic. Like, you know, to see you be like that is it's rare. It is rare at elite level sport. Just because of the sheer quantity of fans that people have at that level, you know what I mean? Like it's hard to be able to have that connection with everyone. And I was actually asking because I'm like, I know what kind of like my process is.
I want to
And
hear
you've
your
got
process because I feel like you've got a process. Like, go
uh,
on.
how about I'll tell you a quick story. So the other day
Okay.
we were at the Oak Bank races in Adelaide, and a Oak Bank race course to watch my sister do some running. And they have jumping castles, and they had like a festival and a fair there. Anyway, so my niece and nephew are on the jumping castles, and there's the lady sitting there, the attendant. It's just her. It's just my niece and nephew just bouncing around, and she's just sitting there, right? It's not the most entertaining job. She's got two cans of Solo stacked on one another. Right? She's chugged one, put the other one on there, chugged one on her phone, whatever. And my process is what you kind of alluded to before is a pattern interrupt, right? So people get into their patterns and they're just doing regular things. And if soon as you interrupt it, you start to create a different connection. Like you said, you ask a different question or you match energy in a different way. And with this lady, um, we like I was like my niece and nephew bounce around and I'm kind of watching them doing their thing, and engaging with them. And then I've moved to the other side of the jumping castle and I said to her, I said, "Oh, tough day or what?" And she was like, "Actually, this is a pretty easy day." And I was like, "Why is this an easy day? Tell me about it." Right now, fast forward, like no shit, fast forward maybe 3 to 5 minutes. Right, we're going back and forth. It's just me and her talking now. They're still doing their thing. She's told me about her son who's just had a brain tumor removed because he was diagnosed with a cancerous tumor on his brainstem a week ago. He's currently in hospital. You know how he's been looked after, how she's going to get out of work, and she has to take this gig, and she's gone straight there afterwards. And I'm sitting there listening to this story, just like engaged, engaged.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, that must be really challenging for you. Like that's so, incredible, right? Um, to hear how it's going and whatnot. And when I left, I was like, 10 minutes earlier, this lady was like just an attendant, a complete stranger, never seen her in my entire life,
Mm.
and just with a simple pattern interrupt and an intent to understand. People just want to chat. I think people just want to
Yeah.
talk, and it's just fascinating. It just fascinates me. And that's why I was like, tell me how you get people to talk, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, it's really, really cool. And I would love to hear um I'd love to get Ben on.
Yeah.
Or Nikki on, I'd love to get them on. And,
Yeah.
like I would love to we've got like what a minute or two left in the moment, for this one. And I would love to kind of go, moving forward from here, just exploring different things, like
Yeah.
interviewing different people, chatting with different people, chatting with each other, things that come up, it's fun. Life is fun. Life is interesting. Life is
Yep.
intriguing. I think you have the same kind of views, So I think for me, that's what I would love people to kind of tune in for. Just like rando
Yep.
shit that we'll chat about. That's hopefully going to give a bit of fun and shine some light on some things, and hopefully won't have you as agitated next time.
Oh my gosh, I know. I feel like wasted all of our time just ranting about tea and how the other one didn't work. And now we're in the flow of this one. It's about to be over. So
That's right. They have to tune in for episode 2, which we'll get out soon.
yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe we'll just do it straight after this one.
You know what? We can go back to back. I got time. We'll go back to back. But we'll
Oh my
release this one
gosh.
soon. But you know what? This has been fantastic. I think we've recovered, rejuvenated, and
We have.
we'll come back with another episode very, very shortly for everyone. But thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you all for listening. And I won't rage next time, I promise. Unless this one doesn't work. We don't know if this one's going to work yet. So
TBC,
hopefully.
TBC. But you know what?
TBC.
If you're hearing this, it worked.
Best of the
Peace.
mess, baby.
Best of the mess, baby. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.